Alright, what's happening, plebs? We're out here with another video, and today, sorry I've been away for a while. If you're subscribed to a lot of the top YouTubers and stuff, you would have probably seen this video here. Asian Eyes talking about the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then Mega Capital G giving a rebuttal, and then like there was even a little bit of Facebook drama. So this is like an hour and a half of footage of this drama, right? And I'm just going to sum it up for you guys in 5 minutes, because honestly, it's just a load of bullshit. It's just so shit. Like, the arguments given are just garbage and terrible. It's just something that's been blown out of proportion unnecessarily. So I'm just going to sum it up for you, right? So Asian Eyes claims that the game is dying, and he gives 4 main arguments for it. First of all, I don't know where you get the idea this game is dying, right? Well, I do know where you got the idea the game is dying, but it's wrong. Now, I don't mean it as a personal attack or offense or anything like that. Asian Eyes is actually a really cool guy. I spoke to him in person and stuff. His channel is not as cool as he is, unfortunately, but I mean, like, you know, that's just an opinion. I can't, like, force myself to like something. But the truth of the matter is that the arguments you give for Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying is just not true. Like, it's just not true, man. So first thing he goes on to show us is he's got hard evidence and statistical data saying that, you know, yeah, you can prove that the game's dying with numbers, right? So we go into Google Trends, right? We go look up and see what everyone's been searching around the world. We look at something like Call of Duty, right? So you have peak, trough, peak, trough, peak, trough. This is the natural thing you would expect from a video game. People get interested in a video game, they leave the video game, a new game in that franchise comes out, people look it up, etc, etc. That's the chain of events, right? And then he says, oh, well, look at Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And it says, look, the graph is dying. Oh no. Yeah, you can see, like, he says, like, the game's dying and stuff, right, because of this graph. And it's like, well, let's spell it differently, let's spell it correctly. Okay, cool, you put an exclamation point in the mark, right, cool. The game's dying, right? The game's pretty fucked, right, if you look at the graph. Now, this is so misleading, because let me just tell you that 90% of people in the world don't type Yu-Gi-Oh! Like a fucking idiot, right? Look, most of us type it like this. And this is what we get. We get just a normal graph. Like, does this look like the graph of something that's dying? No. Look, you have peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs. A little bit of maintenance there. Sustainability here. A little bit less than it was in, like, the highest prime time of Yu-Gi-Oh! Apart from the start. Obviously, the start is a little bit different. But, you know, throughout the years, 5 years later, this game retained, like, a lot of, you know, viewership. And if we see here at the very end where we are now, it's not really that much different. The game's still around in terms of the Google Trend results, and it's like, how did you manage to mix up that argument so badly where you said, like, the trend, like, the Google Trends, like, proves that the game's dying? It's not fucking dying at all. Does this look like the graph of something that's dying? No. So that's argument number 1. Argument number 2, he said YouTube views, and it's like, look, Galactic God, his subscribers haven't gone up. Cyber Knight, his subscribers haven't gone up. His subscribers, Asian Eyes, he hasn't grown and stuff like that. And it's like, man, is that your argument? Is that actually your argument? Like, this is, by the way, he talks about this for, like, you know, each portion of these arguments he talks for like 20 minutes, and it's like, it's basically saying a lot of words without actually saying anything, because, like, you can summarize them in like 30 seconds, right? So basically, like, his YouTube views haven't been growing, his channel hasn't been growing, other channels haven't been growing, all the, you know, quote-unquote heavyweights of the Yu-Gi-Tubing community haven't been growing, therefore Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying. Do I really need to explain why that's such a fucking stupid argument? Like, really? Like, that's not an argument. A YouTube channel growing or not growing doesn't mean the game is dying or staying alive. Like, no offense, right? Now, if we go to Asian Eyes' channel, right, most of it just, like, is not the best quality as it was, like, let's say, when Asian Eyes was at his peak. You know, he's a really funny guy and stuff like that. And again, I just want to say he's a really cool guy, but, like, in terms of his YouTube, what is this? Like, you know, there's, like, Overwatch, there's, like, Streamer Sucks Dick Simulator. What is this? What you call this content? Like, come on to fuck. Like, this is Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And you're just posting about this shit? Like, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, this is not really an argument. You know, my YouTube's doing badly, therefore it's like, what's it called? The game's dying, right? Cyber Knight's channel, cosplay deck box review. Okay. Blue Eyes deck profile, Legendary Collection opening, tint opening, movie pack opening, Spiral card news, box opening news, box opening cosplay, fucking what? Like, don't get me wrong, this is a very niche audience. A lot of people love this stuff. Clearly they do, you know, and that's fine. That's cool that he has something like that. But there's only so many people in the world that like box openings, okay? So how, like, eventually you're gonna plateau, right? Because like I said, there's only so many people in the world that like box openings. In terms of, you know, if you make something a bit more competitive inclined, you know, you're gonna go up and down because people come in and out of the competitive scene of Yu-Gi-Oh! People are gonna be interested in the meta, and then they're not gonna be, you know, so you're gonna have growth and stuff like that, you know. But these channels, like, you kind of, it's a very niche audience with these things. Simply Unlucky channel is the same. Galactic God, again, Horakathy OTK, like, who's interested in that? There's only so many people in the world that are interested in that. Bear in mind that is a huge portion of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, which is fair enough, and much respect to these guys for getting to where they are now through that. But that doesn't mean the game's dying because your channel isn't growing. Like, come on to fuck, man. My channel has exploded over the past year. These last 7 months, oh my god, I've had an increase of like 300% of subscribers, right? 300% increase. Does that mean Yu-Gi-Oh's just exploded because my little channel, which is like a little tiny dot, like leaf on the wind, that is the ether of Yu-Gi-Oh, because my channel's growing, that means Yu-Gi-Oh is like amazing now? No, of course. A YouTube channel is not a metric standard for the growth of the game. Come on to fuck. So that's argument number 2. Argument number 3, again, is just completely misleading statistics. He basically said during the streams of the NEWCQ and the EUWCQ there was like only a couple hundred people watching. I don't know what time he logged in. I don't know what time he looked at Twitch. The screenshots he shows in his video of the World Championship qualifier are just very misleading because it's a screenshot of like an advert in between round 1 and 2 on Twitch. Like, who the fuck's going to be watching then? Nobody's going to be watching then. If you go to like actual statistics of when the, you know, the viewership of NEWCQ and EUWCQ was at that peak, you'd see that there was like 3,000 viewers, you know, more than ever. On top of that, this was the biggest NEWCQ in the history of the game. The biggest nationals in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Does that sound like a game that's dying to you? No, you're just misleading people, like, with these numbers. I'm sorry, that's just, like, how do you make a mistake that, like, drastic? Like, I hope it's not intentional. I hope he's just not like fishing for views and stuff. But how do you get it so wrong when records are being broken? World records are broken and you somehow, the game's dying? What? That doesn't make sense. That just doesn't work. And the final argument was like Yu-Gi-Oh! Online dying. Like, I don't need to tell you anything about that, right? Because, like, just because the Yu-Gi-Oh! Online is gone, that doesn't mean the game's gonna die. Even hypothetically, if we say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to die because there's no more online Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore, it's only been a month since the online Yu-Gi-Oh! Was taken down. Even then, we still have Dev Pro and Yugioh Pro. Yugioh Pro obviously not very good, but Dev Pro is the closest thing you get to a competitive online simulator. And just because these things, Dueling Network got taken down, and only Dueling Network, by the way, Dev Pro still around, just because that Dueling Network went down, does that mean the end of Yu-Gi-Oh? No, because the reality is that even at peak time of DN, there was only like 2,000-3,000 people online on DN, ever, at peak times of DN. Now, 2,000-3,000 people globally is nothing. Let's say every single person on this planet who frequents DN regularly quits Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's say that, hypothetically. That's 3,000 people across the planet who play this game. Do you seriously think Konami's going to miss those people in terms of profits and money? No, because people who go on DN probably don't even play in real life anyway. Do you know what I mean? Then that's assuming all the active competitive players on DN, every single one of them quits. Does that mean Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to die because 2,000, 3,000 people quit the game on the global scale? Out of the hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people who probably play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that feasible? Like, just because Dueling Network's gone? I would argue that people who play Yu-Gi-Oh! Online are probably not as big of a niche as, you know, he would expect. And I think that the real-life player base is generally bigger. Now, even hypothetically, let's say for an example, that Dueling Network going down, even Dev Pro, Yugioh Pro, all Yu-Gi-Oh! Online simulators get taken down tomorrow. Or have been taken down, which they haven't, but, you know, he made this video like a few days ago or whatever. Let's say that actually does happen. The truth of the reality is that he cannot make a video saying the game is dying because we don't have enough evidence and sample pool that like numbers to show us that this is actually the game's dying, because the simulator just got taken down. We won't know the after effects of such a thing for like a few more months, even a year. Do you know what I mean? These things take time to settle. The dust like settles after a few months, maybe even a year, if something that drastic happens. So yeah, you can't like say that it's dying just because the Yu-Gi-Oh thing has gone down, because even if it was dying because the Yu-Gi-Oh Online got taken down, like we're not gonna know. It's that simple, right? So that's his 4 main arguments. Google Trends argument, which is just laughably wrong. Laughably wrong. The YouTube views was laughably wrong. The stream thing was laughably wrong. And the last one online was the only actually half decent argument, was that like maybe the Yu-Gi-Oh Online going down was going to impact the game. Sure, I can kind of understand that argument, but everything else was just so misleading. It's actually like I feel kind of like offended almost, you know, because I personally don't have like some kind of, you know, I'm not offended, that's probably the wrong word, but it's like intellectually offended. That's how I am, because of just how badly represented the statistics were. Like, he showed this graph to people. Like, what is wrong with you? That's not representative of the game. Like, what is... It's so misleading. So misleading. I just can't believe, like, you know, you would get away with that. Apparently Albania is the most interested country in the world in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, yeah, so that's my video now. I've summed up 2 hours of debate for you guys in like 10 minutes, okay? So, yeah, I hope I did a good job there. If you've watched this far, just hashtag statistics in the description below. So hashtag statistics if you've watched this far, and yeah, let me know what you think about the state of the game and stuff, and tell me about cosplay deck box openings and stuff as well. So see you guys later, and yeah, take care.